So they'll be calling you a radical. Let there be lights. Mall walkers versus propagandist nuclear energy shit talkers. So the propaganda nuclear, the tail wagging the dog. The nuclear tail wagging the dog. These nuclear industries, via their own subsidies, have eaten their own. The subsidies in this country begin to eat their own government in France. So EU's meeting in Brussels starting today to finally stamp that was supposed to have been done several years ago on the taxonomy on where the funding is going to go for clean energy. So France as government has bailed out the nuclear energy so many times. Arriva, bankrupt. Now remember, Arriva, Chicago Bridge and Iron were partnered together on the Mox Fuel fairy tale, that total lie. They're still putting money towards in South Carolina, the Tower to Babel. Now let's review. Remember 5 years ago, almost 6, I was like, just buy puts on, short this shit out of Chicago Bridge and Iron. Just short it, buy puts on it. They're done. Arriva took them down. They're like, what? The stock in one day. The options market, I know guys made so much money. How come I didn't? I was in the hospital recovering from open heart surgery. One day, the stock was down 75%. What did it go to? That's as low as it could go. Saved by zero. The fix is in. It went to zero. Arriva bailed out again for the umpteenth time by France. So, who really is the government? Same in the United States. The nuclear subsidies, the Department of Energy, which is so gigantic. The bank subsidies, the bank bailouts, the Department of Treasury, the subsidies are so dairy, big agriculture. The subsidies are so gargantuous and so big. Really, who is the government now? It's the nuclear tail wagging the dog. The fact of the matter is this. Who is the French government? The nuclear energy. Like I said, you feed this beast. It's like YouTube. All us pioneers of social media. I had a podcast before anybody even knew what a podcast was. I had 3 of them. So the very monster that the pioneers of YouTube in the day created, they eat us. I mean, because it's taken over. All we hear is Radio Goo Goo, Radio Gaga, blah, blah, blah. I mean, contemporary sheep shit show. That's what it is. It's turned into nothing but it's the new cable TV. You screw tube. So when it used to be, they used to call themselves the Great Equal. Why? Because the government took them over. I mean, NSA. What's the 3 branches of government in the United States? NSA, CIA, DOE, Department of Energy. So in Brussels, believe it or not, the president of Luxembourg, of all places, right there, it's right close to France, its own country, Switzerland on Balco. Before I forget, how about the bank bailout in Switzerland? Costs every man, woman, and child in Switzerland 13,500 euros. 13,500 US dollars. Credit Suisse gets bailed out by the most corrupt bank of them all. HSBC, I thought they were taken to zero. Oh no, they got bailed out by the Shiba, bailed out by the world. Shiba bought Westinghouse, remember? Westinghouse went bankrupt. Oh, he went to jail. They bought it. So Trump, Biden, Obama, they're the triplets, the nuclear energy triplets. They're the biggest problem. Because so he comes out yesterday, the president of Luxembourg, because they're getting ready to meet. He says, no, to say that nuclear energy is green and feed money is just nothing but a bolster to the French government, to the French nuclear industry. That's all it would be. Because Macron, that's all he is. He's there because they are the government. They gave them so much pork, and over these years, same in the United States. Ask Jeff Bezos, his grandfather, guys. Bezos was born in Los Alamos. He was 14. His mother was 14. Look it up. Look at his mother's father. He was the original spokesman, propagandist for the Department of Nuclearism, which is now the Department of Energy. It's changed the name. It's really the Department of Nuclearism. Jennifer Graham Home, Rick Perry, going to make it sexy and talk about the anti-porn. Whoa. So he comes out and says, are you kidding me? He says, I love how some of these people want to tell you that nuclear is the answer to everything. He starts to laugh. This is an interview with Politico. He says, number one, it's surely not fast. It takes at least 10 years to build one. It's surely not green. It's not sustainable. And what about the risk, these major global nuclear disasters? And he says, no one's still addressed the answer of the waste. I mean, it's the biggest sham ever pulled off in America, well, in the world's history. Nuclear, not my words, Albert Einstein's words. Hell of a way to boil a planet, Kevin Blanch, March 2011. Oh, we're halfway there, living on an anti-nuclear prayer. So you wade through the muck of the propaganda, but the arc of nuclear truth, oh, it's long, but it curves towards the sun. I mean, it's always been the sun. The sun's always been the answer. It's right there. Harness it. It's easy to harness. We should have solar panel cars. We should have solar panels everything. It's easy. It's real easy. Oh, you can't store. Oh, yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. Go ask them in Denmark. Go ask them in Austria. Go ask them all these countries that have done it. I mean, they've got dynamic. They've got creative. And I mean, the overconsumption. Here in the United States, it's just thumb your nose at the rest of the world. Somebody sent me a link on the United States planning to depleted uranium to Ukraine. Isn't that against international law? Of course it's against international law. So is nuclear. But Russia, the United States, UK, and Israel just go like this. They don't care about international law. Again, so who is the government anymore? The United States is not a government. The United States, because, look, I taught at the number one school of business in the United States. And we were talking then, clear back then. And that's unarguable via the testing, unarguable. My graduate class is still the highest test scores, exit scores in the history of this country, finance. I was a student professor then. We were talking about it then. We talked about the risk-free rate of return, which the rule of doubling, which we say, interest rate, how many home runs did Babe Ruth hit? That's how I used to remember it. 714. That was the mean. It's been so low, Ayn Rand Greenspan now for 23 years. They started lower in the fall of 2000. On March 10th, everything happens on March 9th and 10th. Anything you look up historically happens on March 9th and March 10th. It's when the rollover happens. Fukushima had an accident before in 97. Guess what day? No, couldn't have been March 11th. Huh? Look it up. So, and these videos are for the big kids. We got through. This is a postgraduate program. Graduation was a long time ago. They can try to put my toothpaste back in the tube. The nuclear cartel. So the Radio Goo-Goo, Radio Gaga, Rush Limbaugh Light, Joe Rogan and Clan, popped up by the NSA, the CIA, the nuclear industry. So the EU, they're like, oh, hell no. Angela Merkel was a nuclear physicist. She says, no. They got rid of it in Germany. Remember, Germany had, they're going to have, what? There was 20 reactors online. They're down to 3, and they're going to close next month. God. No serenity even in the mall walking. Good Lord. Screaming and yelling. Well, I guess they ain't got their hearing aids in, So, anyway, this is such a sham. It's like everything that's happened post-Fukushima, including the demic. We can't talk about the demic. I can't even talk about the fur-bearing animal, the raccoon dog, native to Japan, they eat fish. I can't talk about nucleophile mutates things, which is unarguable. I can't talk about any of the reality because it's just left, right. They shove down politically You got the right wingers who are insane, by the way. The Trumpettes who've lost their mind logic. And then you got the left wingers who are insane, by the way. Logic means shit. They've been hypnotized by cable TV. These politicians get up in the morning and watch Fox News. And Fox News just tells them the puppets that they are. And then the lobbyists just come in and drag them along by their noose, by their ring in their nose. Same with the left. They get up in the morning, watch MSNBC, and they just tell them what the political narrative is. Just drag them along by their collar. Here, boy, good boy. Good puppets. And so, who is the government anymore? Who's the government? French government, he says it perfectly. This is nothing but it's not going to happen. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. And they've tried every dirty trick known to man in the EU taxonomy, which is the funding. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, thank you, Luxembourg. By the way, Brussels, where it's happening, they shut theirs down. I mean, they're some of the worst in the world. When they had protests at the reactor in Brussels a few years ago, the populace shows up. They joined hands, hand to hand for literally made a 10-mile chain from country to country. And they said it perfectly. You're going to follow it, and your government don't give a shit about your borders. Munich had a Fukushima protest that drew nearly 2 million people in 2012. The biggest biggest Fukushima protest in the country, Kevin Blanch organized. People that actually showed up and protested nuclear energy reactors. What did we get? Maybe 50 people? Diablo? I mean, there was times that Diablo had a pretty good little crowd. 2014, we heard about it, but New York, people are too, because, I'll tell you what, because everything is right-winger, left-winger, which are both imperialists. You look up in political policy, Obama Dummer, who ran on the anti-war policy, who ended up being a warmonger, big-time warmonger, who literally led Better Act, who was harder on whistleblowers than any president in history. Obama Dummer, of course, Bush dumbest, Trump dumbest, Bush dumb, Obama dumber, Trump dumbest, sliding with Biden, which you can just open up Trump's memoirs, Biden's memoirs, Obama dumber's memoirs. You know what it's going to say? Each page, status quo, status quo, status quo. You think there's a difference. In policy, they're identical. Really out of control, Dad. Pro-nuclear, so the nuclear tail wagging the dog. There's so much pork that has come out. So we used to teach this. I used to talk about this back in 2000. If you have no morals, and ethics was a big deal at that university, and it ain't now. They slick the supply chain. They teach you how to import goods from slave camps, child slave camps in China, Peru. But no one cares where their goods come from anymore. Karma and Balco. They don't care. They don't believe in karma. They don't believe in anything like this. They believe they can do whatever they want. It's Ayn Rand demeaning. Remember Ayn Rand said, you must be selfish. Ayn Rand Greenspan. He was a groupie. The collective. Greenspan was the collective. I'm the guy that termed that originally, Ayn Rand. Science fiction. Clear back in 2000. So, I says, if you have no ethics, and you have no morals, and you don't care, you're just money motivated, you go into the banking industry. So if you go in the banking industry, I'll tell you what, your depositor's money, you can do whatever you want with it. Whatever. You fly your Learjet around, gamble, freaking, take risks, do whatever you want with it. Whatever. Because no bankster will go to jail. Banksters don't go to jail. And the government will always bail you out. Guaranteed they will own it. Now, back in 1980, when the saving loan scandal, He went to jail. The mayor of Wagging went to jail. Mountain West Savings. It was a gentleman's prison. They got to come on weekends and they played golf in Vegas. That was their prison. For real. Look it up. It's like Elizabeth Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes got convicted of stealing over $1 billion. You know, she was found guilty. How long ago? When was that? That was over a year ago. Way over a year ago. Is she in prison? No. You seen how she lives and where she lives? Yeah. I know plenty of people that know her. And saying she lives like royalty. Somebody says, "Oh, she got a passport heading to Mexico." Shit. She's probably been flying all over the world. Do you know Christian Holmes the Fourth is her father? Enron? What? Wait. What? Kenneth Lay. It's like, where's Epstein? Kenneth Lay. They're living in Hitler's mansion in Argentina? Maybe. I mean, the whole thing's so fishy. It stinks. Why is he not in jail? I mean, it perpetuates. It's imperialism. It's inherent, the stuff that this country stood against. We were anti-monarchy. Remember, we fought the monarchies. We fought imperialism. Where's Paul Revere when you need him? He was a craftsman. Most people believe him still to this day to be the greatest silver craftsman in history. To this day. So, first they come to the craftsman. I won't stop there. So these imperialists, so you go into banking. You go into banking. Heads you in, tells you win no matter what. The government will always bail you out. No banks will, you do whatever you want. What's the other industry? The nuclear industry. Ask NewScale. Kenwood Financial popped them up. Ask Stephen Bechtel. Ask all these. No nuclear crime. Ask them in Ohio. The politicians go for accepting bribes. They head to prison. Guilty. What about them are the bribees? What about the bribers? Nothing. Won't even bring up their names. Nothing. You know, it takes two to tango, Bobby. You know, so they rob, they pillage, and the government just throws more money at it. Constantly. You know how much money gets thrown at the Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate a year? Ho, ho, ho. Tens of billions of dollars a year. Then we have what we call the Immunity Act. It was passed in the 50s, which means you can't sue them. You can't go after them. It's free money. And no, name me one. Remember when, what's his name for the NRC got caught clear back in the 70s when they were building Watts Bar? Watts Bar took 44 years to build. Remember when he got caught? The head of the NRC for bribery. Did he ever go to prison? Oh, he shows up on the California Public Commission Board during Senate Alfred. Kamala Harris exposed that. Her mother, the epidemiologist, lived more. How come she doesn't talk nuclear anymore? I don't know. Well, she was the California AG that helped me shut down Senate Alfred. But once they won for political office at a national level, they know they have to bow to the Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate. They know they have to bow to them because if they don't, they'll tee them up. You know, they'll go after them. They'll flood so much money against him that they won't win. That's exactly how Obama beat Hillary Clinton. For real. That's how she beat him. You know, she was wishy-washy on each side, but Obama was, I tell you, don't know what Hanford is. That's Obama who's propped up by the nuclear. She ran attack ads in the swing states talking about his pro-nuclear energy propped up team. They propped him up. They propped up Trump. Oh, yeah, they love Trump. You know, they love Obama or Biden. They love him. They love Bush. We haven't had an anti-nuclear president since, well, was Kennedy? Yeah, yeah. What about Clinton? Bill Walmart Clinton. I don't think we've had one since John Kennedy. JFK blown away, John Lennon blown away. What else do I have to say? He was an anti-nuclear. You know, Lennon. What happens to anti-nuclears? Martin Luther King was an anti-nuclear. What happens to him? You know? We know what happens to the currency. We know what happens. Look at Kevin Blanch. They slander the shit out of you. They blackball you from the university circles, which happened to me. I mean, coincidence I got AML, leukemia, given 2 months to live in 2011. I was everywhere and everything. Open heart surgery twice. I was so healthy until 2011, like the Pacific Ocean. So, dairy. Become a dairy farmer. Milk your cows 4 times a day. Just 100% government pork subsidies for a poison product. They'll give you free Roundup, they'll give you free track, they'll give you everything free. Then the government will buy your product back, your cheese, your milk, whatever, and then they just dump it down the drain into the ocean. It's just poison. We will not let it. So these subsidies, yeah, in the great America, we overproduce freaking food so grotesquely in this country, it's sickening. But everybody falls for it because it's, oh yeah, we support them, support the American farmer. You're talking the biggest welfare queens, well, third biggest. First biggest is the banksters. First biggest, the nuclear energy crime center by far. So, thank you in Luxembourg. It's not going to happen. I've spent enough time over there with the Austrians, with the Germans, in Denmark. Scam likely. Why wouldn't the government clean that up? Scam likely. Scamming old people, calling them on the phone, whatever. Because they're in on it. Remember when everybody in the 80s used to talk about, well, the CIA is importing all this cocaine. What everybody's laugh. You got to be some crazy conspiracy. All these crazy conspiracies. About half of them end up true. Now, of course, you could be like Alex Jones and Jeff Rance. Those people, they just use any event to make money. They're profiteers, and I can prove that. Alex Jones was called twice and asked, mutually exclusive of each other. It's out there. Well, Kevin Lynch is the world foremost expert on the Fukushima cover-up. The activist, why won't you have him on your show? 2 different times. Well, Kevin Lynch is an activist. He used to put my typo videos on his website, Soda Rents. Had them all over. And then they're right under there, they're tagged by Patriot Bunkers, overpriced supplements, water filter. Grotesquely overpriced, markup of, 800, 900%. They made tens of millions. That's got disclosed in the Alex Jones trials on his financial, how much money he made in the Fukushima era. My typo videos, did they ever send me a penny? They knew I was fighting for my life, in critical condition, full of cancer. You think, well, thanks for all your work out on the typos, Kev. We made tens of millions of dollars off of your videos. And, we profiteered. We were selling supplements that don't work. Here's you need a car? Here, I'll buy you a car. What the hell is $100,000 when you're making tens of millions? But they didn't. It just showed you what this country is. They will use anybody, especially when you're in a vulnerable situation. So it's the nuclear tail wagging the dog. It's the banksters tail wagging the dog. It's the big dairy. They are the government now. The subsidies have been so gargantuous and so big and so long. These tentacles fly out in, same with fishing, Mitchell Act. They become the government. The nuclear industry in the United States is the government. The banksters are the government. It's unarguable. It's unarguable. Big agriculture is the government. These are unsustainable businesses. These are flawed technologies. These are a sham, but there is no normal business cycle. There is no such thing in the United States anymore. Get you a good government job. That's the only place you're going to make any money. Oh, small business like the PPP loan thing. What a loot job. And there's no police. I know there's so many people in Utah that I never got a penny. I didn't even get a personal stimulus check for $1,200. I didn't even get that. I got a bill for $1.8 million. Got kicked off Medicaid with AML leukemia while I'm in the treatment center. Everybody says, guy in the hospital says, why are you not on Medicaid? The caseworker. Your situation. And I said, why don't you go ask Mike Lee? Are you new to this state? Because the government hates me. The state of Utah hates my guts because I hold their feet to the fire. It's like Cox, the worst governor we ever had, by far. Gets caught just recently, sneaking the nuclear waste into, southern Utah. Bringing in the nuclear waste hot, over the legal limit, in Santa Barbara. Kevin Lynch catches it. No media. The media's all over at Weber State every day now, interviewing the old grandmama TikToker. And I know her. She's a sweet old lady, nice enough, but is that really a story? She has 4 men. She calls them, her grand, more power to her. But are you kidding me? That's news? When the nuclear waste being snuck in here, I told Fox News, I got in an argument with them up there the other day, and I said, Really? Everything that's going on in the state, and this is you. They spent all day with her. I'm sitting within 3 feet from her when they're doing all this cropping and video and thing. I'm like, really? I just respectfully let them finish, and then after I says, really, everything that's going on, you know, and this is what you report, and they wanted to argue with me. I'm like, whatever. Brand yourselves in history. The nuclear waste being brought here, we got more issues than you have. And so the nuclear tail wagging the dog. Empty mall walkers versus propped up YouTube shit talkers. Yeah, nuclear's clean, green. Biggest sham in human history. So in France, thank you, in Luxembourg, he just went off. And he's a powerful figure inside the EU taxonomy. Really powerful figure. So you can go along with the propaganda machine all you want. Go ahead, go along with it. Go ahead, along with it. Go for it. Because it's David versus Goliath. And you can war profiteer, and your health is your wealth. Thank you, everybody, for supporting historic work. I'm on day 72 of my rehab. My rehab's 84 days. I'm on 72. I'm getting there. I'm getting ready to escape the rehab center. I'm supposed to escape Monday, but I think I might escape today. And the weather here is horrific. I mean, it's winter. It's 20 degrees below normal every day, all day. In the last 10 years, it's been 20 degrees above normal all day, every day. So the nuclear energy tail wagging the dog. The pork has been so substantial. Westinghouse, bankrupt. Westinghouse, I thought they bought Toshiba. I thought Toshiba went out. World Bank brought them down. And Westinghouse went bankrupt. Arriva took down Chicago Bridge 9, one of the oldest companies, which really had a giant base here in Ogden. Right here where I'm at. The Great Junction City. Took them apart. I had to shorten it by... I know guys that made 1,000 to 1 in the options market. For real. Based on my advice. It's like early in the day when I was my YouTube site, finances, and I was like, this is in 2011. You can look back. Everybody's gone silver, gold mad. By the way, silver and gold are the same price they were in 2011. And, that's good. No, it's not. Inflation. So, what is inflation? Debt, the federal debt and deficit are Siamese twins connected at the hip with inflation. That's unarguable. So, we had $3 trillion in debt. We have $31 trillion since Operation Foxconn. Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. No, he didn't. Pat Tillman fired up 9 million Al-Qaeda. Freaking died. No, he didn't. His own guy. Order. George W. Bush won the 2000 election. No, he didn't. Ask Roger Ellis. Operation Foxconn News. How do they do it? One by gesture and two by cable TV. You go on, and then but Google knows everything, and that will strike you, knock you out. All these social media platforms knock you out for giving hypotheses and opinions when they know full well, historically, the mainstream narrative over the last 20 years that has been put out in this country has been nothing but lies. Remember the bank bailout in 2008-9? This backdoor one that's going on right now. So if you want to get rich and you want to have no more, then you cannot lose. You cannot lose. Be a banker. Work for the Nuclear Energy Finance Center. Go to one of the labs, Livermore, Los Alamos, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Any of the labs. Just go to work for them. You don't do anything. Use free money. You just travel around. You show up to any major event, whether it be World Series, Super Bowl, whatever. Those guys are always there. Start a dairy farm. Poison the planet. They'll throw all the money you want at you. They'll buy it, you dump it, you produce a product, and call yourself the great American farmer. Yes. And they got you believing that Einstein was nuclear. Einstein never invented nuclear energy. Einstein never invented the nuclear bomb. That's all bullshit. He didn't, for me. He didn't. He was an anti-nuclear hardcore. He was banned from the Manhattan. And he sure didn't write that letter to FDR that opened the spigot on the Manhattan Project, which never shut up. The Manhattan Project, that's Kevin Blanche, the Post-Ignorance Project, the counter. Or David versus Goliath. Leo wrote that letter. He spent days working on it. Einstein said at the end of his life, his greatest regret was signing that letter. Hell of a way to boil water. Albert Einstein about nuclear energy. He's a fierce anti-nuclear energy. Kevin Lanch, March 2011. Nuclear energy. Hell of a way to boil a planet. So, the nuclear energy tail wagging the dog. So, they have all the power. They have all the money. So they've become the governments. Who really is the government of the United States? There's three branches: CIA, NSA, DOE. Department of Energy versus Department of Nuclearism. Ashton Upper Grandma, Ashford Perry, because they're going to make it sexy. Like when Kevin Blanch had no pigment in his eyes, was sucked up to 119 pounds, blisters on my tongue, scarring up and down my thing, clinging to life, puking at the sight of food. Wait, from 170 to 119 pounds in a bone marrow transplant unit, too sick for a transplant, walking the coast of California, doing the typo work, and people are just using me. That's sexy. Whoa, I don't want to be that sexy. I'm getting better. I got down to 138 pounds with this valve. I don't know how I didn't die. And these cardiologists, I'm telling them, my valve, I'm going to my valve. Went out for months. I went from 163 pounds to 138 the day of surgery. I'm back to 152. I'm slowly getting there, but I'm getting ready to escape rehab maybe today. I want to go home. So, thank you everybody for supporting historic work. Get back to doing my typo work. Get back to doing just what I do. I had a podcast for anybody who knew what a podcast. Of course, they took me out of the equation, but good luck to them putting my toothpaste back in the tube. I had millions and millions and millions and millions, and people flipped back, and I flipped the soup can. I used intensity. I used my radical. I used my art form to penetrate the subconscious so it would stay there. I look back and I did it beautifully, perfectly. I mean, Michelangelo, art is a form of communication. Do not forget about the greatest activist artist who ever lived, Michelangelo. They went after him the same fashion for a long, long time. He had to hide for years. He was not considered the greatest artist in the history of mankind for a long, and his own friends painted over the Sistine Chapel. I'm one of the guys that coined the term panty painters. His own friends painted over all of us. They're all painted over. They're originally nudes, but you can't handle the naked truth. He was asked, well, you're a good painter. You're not the greatest painter here in Florence, but you're definitely the greatest sculptor. You're probably the greatest sculptor who ever lived. And I've seen the Leopardi. I've seen David. I've seen the half-done Leopardi. Oh, they're everything that... a lot of times you look at art in reality and you're like, whoa, oh no, they're all that, then some. And they'll make you cry. You look at it. So I had this really risque, wild-ass girlfriend who was so sexy, so good-looking. Oh my God. She was so wild. Everybody used to always ask her, what do you hang with Kevin Blanch? You're with him all the time. He's like your lover, your guy. She says, I'll tell you why. Because he has arms like a Michelangelo's sculpture. Why are you such a great sculptor, Michelangelo? Because my wet nurse came a family of masons, rock layers. Oh, I'm a mason. I split my own rock. Restored the 1905 Masonic Temple here. Hand chisel. You see a plaque on that wall? I built the train that chiseled it. You see a plaque on that wall? No, because they hate me. Because any real accomplished activist, just like Michelangelo was in the day, they hate him. Contemporary society always hates the reality, hates the truth. Kevin Lynch, March 2011. All new knowledge will be persecuted. Plutonium! So it's the tail wagging the dog. So, mall walkers versus radio goo gaga propped up CIA shit talkers. Thank you. The nuclear energy tail wagging the government dog. Stay in turn.